My mother pulled me aside and whispered, "Next week is meant to be unique. Your presence would disrupt it." My father chimed in, "You've changed too much." I tapped my spoon against my wine glass. Understood. That evening, I canceled every Italy-related transaction, froze their Eurail passes, and voided their airport shuttles. At the check-in counter, they were turned away from everything. My brother-in-law's text arrived first. "Unfreeze the account immediately." I shot back. I was so furious I couldn't sleep. They orchestrated it all without me. A dream getaway across Italy, Venice, Florence, Rome, planned to perfection. 5-star hotels. High-speed rail, a private wine tasting in Tuscany. Dinner bookings at exclusive spots you need connections to even approach. They arranged it for themselves. My name wasn't mentioned once, nor my daughter Emma's, nor my son Noah's. Just mom, dad, my sister Laura, her husband Matt, and their 2 children. That was the family they envisioned, the one they valued. It sank in when I saw the booking confirmation. It wasn't meant for my eyes. Laura must have forwarded it by mistake. It detailed everything, dates, travelers, the full itinerary. It felt like a blow to my gut. I kept scanning, hoping my name might appear somewhere, buried in fine print. It didn't. 6 months earlier, during one of our routine Sunday dinners, Mom had brought up the idea. She spoke of her lifelong wish for a grand family trip, wanting the kids to see Europe while they were young. She mentioned Laura and Matt were short on funds and asked if I'd cover the initial costs, promising to repay me later. I agreed without a second thought, no hesitation. I just secured a major consulting deal and wanted to do something special for the family, something to unite us. I paid for it all, flights, hotels, rail passes, everything. Then they erased me from the plan entirely. I didn't confront them immediately. I waited for Sunday dinner. They were all there, acting as if nothing was wrong. Mom served roasted chicken like it was any other weekend. Dad rambled about baseball. Laura smiled like she hadn't already betrayed me. After the meal, I mentioned the trip. Matt casually said, "Italy's gorgeous this season." Dead silence. Mom looked at me and said, "Next week is just sacred. You being there would spoil it." Dad leaned back and added, "You're not the same anymore." No one contradicted them. Not a single voice spoke up. It felt rehearsed. I tapped my spoon against my glass. "Got it." I didn't argue. I didn't demand answers. I took my kids home, tucked them into bed, and when the house was still, I got to work. Everything was in my name, every hotel, every pass, every transfer. They hadn't bothered to change the billing. They didn't even try to cover their tracks. I canceled every charge methodically. Froze the travel cards, deactivated the rail passes, canceled the shuttles, hotel bookings, erased. I sat back and watched it collapse. By 7:18 the next morning, Matt texted first. "Unfreeze the account now." I replied, "Sorry, I'm too different now." Then came the calls from Mom, emails Hawkins from Dad. Laura sent a photo of her crying son with a message saying I was heartless. I didn't respond. They wanted their version of family, let them pay for it themselves, and that was just the start. They strolled into JFK like they were untouchable. Business class tickets, designer luggage. Matt even wore loafers without socks as if he was already channeling Italy. I saw it all on Laura's Instagram story captioned, "Arrive at Versailles, America," with a video of wine glasses toasting. I wasn't even mad anymore, just waiting. They had no idea it was all gone. I hadn't just canceled the bookings and reversed the charges. I'd called every hotel to explain, canceled the Rome airport pickup and the Chianti wine tour. I reported the Eurail passes as lost, changed the travel portal passwords, wiped every trace of their trip. I knew exactly when it unraveled. Their flight was set to board at 6:45 p.m. At 6:20, Matt texted, "Why can't we board?" Then Laura, "Did you cancel our flights?" Calls flooded in. I ignored them all. It must have been pandemonium. 4 adults, 2 kids standing at the gate, dumbfounded. Their fully paid trip had vanished. I pictured Laura raising her voice, Matt trying to stay composed, Dad attempting to pull rank, Mom fuming at being denied. Meanwhile, I was in my kitchen with Emma and Noah rolling out dough for tacos. They didn't know a thing. I kept it that way. They think their grandparents' trip fell through because of scheduling issues. By 9:30 p.m., the texts changed tone. "Matt, you're unhinged. You're hurting your own family." Laura, "Your kids will find out about this." I didn't reply. I let the silence speak. Then Dad sent a message that almost made me chuckle. "You've humiliated us. You've crossed a line." I responded. "Hope it was still unique." The next morning, I saw their car back in their driveway, home after 20 hours, beaten and drained. That's when the next phase began. At 3:52 p.m., the doorbell rang. Mom stood there, no makeup, hair tied back, her tone flat but irritated. No apology. Instead, she said, "Okay, you've made your point." I let her talk. She went on about how these antics fracture families, how I needed to be more forgiving, how it wasn't fair to destroy something they'd planned for months just because I felt left out. Then she switched gears. "By the way, about the backyard, the contractor's still set for next month and we don't want to lose the slot. Your dad thinks you might cover the deposit?" I stared at her. She genuinely thought I'd cave, that I'd still want to be included, that I'd always foot the bill because I always had. I nodded. "Let me check my finances. I'll let you know by Friday." She smiled, thinking she'd regained control. She left content perfect. Because now it was my move. The silence was calculated. They thought I was sulking, regretting the airport stunt, losing steam. They assumed I'd come back with money and an apology like always. They didn't realize something in me had snapped. On Thursday, Laura texted like we were colleagues. "Hey, Mom said you're considering the backyard project. Let us know so we can lock in the contractor." No warmth, just that detached family tone they used when they wanted something. I left it unread for hours. Then I replied, "Still figuring things out, we'll update soon." That soon became tomorrow. Then the day after, by Friday, Mom texted, "Contractor needs the deposit today to secure the schedule. Can you confirm?" I wrote, "Might manage half. Let me check with the bank." I didn't check. Saturday, silence from me. Sunday, nothing. Monday, Dad called. I let his name flash on my screen and go to voicemail. A minute later, his text, "We're not pressuring you, just need clarity to plan." I replied, "Totally understand, should have an answer soon." And I stretched that soon again. Wednesday, Laura sent a voice note. I didn't play it, just stared at the audio bar, probably her pretending to care, pretending to empathize, pretending this was normal. That night I replied, "Bank flagged a transaction, should be able to send by Friday." The final bait. I made them wait again, circling another date with hope. Friday came and went, no payment, no message. Saturday morning, Dad texted, "We told the contractor we'll cover it ourselves, don't worry." Then Mom, "If you want to chip in later, anything helps." I could sense the irritation beneath the words. Not about the money, but because I wasn't playing my usual role, fixing their messes, smoothing things over, erasing the awkwardness. Now they were stuck with the unease. Laura sent a photo that night, their backyard, uneven grass, a few stakes where a deck might have been. Caption, "Still hoping to pull it off before winter." I didn't reply, I just looked at it. The gap between us wasn't uncomfortable anymore, it was intentional. For the first time, I was done ensuring their comfort, and they were just starting to feel what that meant. A week passed in silence. No texts from Mom, Dad, or Laura. No gentle nudges about the backyard. No updates on rescheduling the trip. Nothing. It would have felt calm if I didn't know them so well. They weren't letting go, they were strategizing, waiting me out. Trying to make me feel like I'd abandoned them. Then a curveball hit. A text from my cousin Sarah. "Hey, just checking in. Grandma's really shaken up about the Italy mess. You good?" It stopped me dead. Grandma. She hadn't been part of this at all. She's in Albany, hasn't traveled in years. She's the type who sends handwritten cards and remembers every anniversary. Always stayed above family conflicts. I asked Sarah what Grandma was upset about. She said, "Laura told her you canceled the trip out of nowhere and cost them thousands. Grandma's worried you're spiraling." So that was their play. I wasn't the son who paid and got sidelined. I was the unhinged one who tanked a sweet family vacation. Of course they'd rewrite it. They always shaped the story, until now. I called Grandma. She picked up instantly, voice soft but weighted. "Michael," she said, "what happened, dear?" I told her everything. No theatrics, no rant, just the facts. How they asked me to fund it months ago, planned it without me or my kids, how I found out by accident, and how they said I'd ruin it by showing up. She didn't interrupt. After a pause, she said, "That's not what they told me. They said you refused to go and canceled everything in a rage." I told her that wasn't true. She went quiet again, then said, "I'm so sorry, Michael. I don't know what's wrong with them." That was enough for me, but the backlash came fast. An hour later, Mom texted, "Did you just feed Grandma some distorted version of what happened?" Then Laura, "You're making this worse. She's elderly, Michael. She doesn't need this stress." Matt jumped in, "This is toxic, man. You're turning family against each other." I read each one and felt done, not angry, not hurt, just done. They'd excluded me, lied about it, tried to sway Grandma, and now dared to call me the problem. So I sent one final group text to all four. Effective immediately, I'm done bankrolling anything. No more trips, no more projects, no loans, no we'll pay you back promises. If I'm too different for your family, I'm too different to fund it. Good luck with the backyard. I sent it and set my phone down. No one replied that night. Not because they were stunned, but because they knew I wasn't bluffing. A week later, Laura called out of the blue, a real call, not a text. I didn't pick up. Her voicemail was almost laughable, all cheery and warm, like we were just catching up. Said she'd been reflecting on my words and thought we should all meet soon. Even added, "The kids miss you," like that would fix everything. Days later, Mom sent a photo of some discount paving stones piled in their yard. No progress, no workers, just clutter. She wrote, "We're still trying to make it work ourselves, found a bargain locally." It was a calculated move, hinting, "See how hard we're trying without you," while leaving room for me to step back in. I replied, "Looks like a start. Let me know if you need a hand moving them." That cracked the door just enough and they stepped right through. Mom texted a long message about how families have cycles and how she hoped I knew money wasn't why we valued you. Said we'd all lost our way in the planning and maybe it was time for a fresh start. Laura messaged separately saying she'd felt off since the airport chaos and wanted to reconnect. "No pressure," she said, suggesting coffee next week. Even Matt, usually a one-word texter, wrote, "Think I got heated, we all did. No grudges." It was a slick turnaround. Suddenly I wasn't toxic or erratic. I was useful again, valuable, so I gave them a dose of their own tactics. I told Laura I'd love to meet, set a day and time. She sent a smiley emoji and said she'd cover the bill. Morning of I canceled, said a work meeting ran over. She was bummed but polite. "No worries, let's try again soon." We didn't. Days later, Mom asked if I could chip in $250 for gravel delivery. I said I'd check and get back to her. I didn't. Dad mentioned they were looking at firewood suppliers for winter, said prices had spiked. I told him to send me the details, said I'd see what I could do. He did, I didn't. Every follow-up got the same tone they'd used on me for years, hollow kindness, vague promises, no follow-through. It worked better than I expected. Laura went quiet first, stopped replying to even casual texts. Mom's messages got briefer, then stopped. Matt unfollowed me on social media. Dad skipped his usual happy birthday group text when my day came around. That one stung a bit. It had been a tradition for years. The irony? They couldn't call me out. I hadn't raised my voice or lashed out. I'd just become them. The version of them they'd always shown me. All talk, no action. All surface, no depth. And I think they finally felt what it was like to be on the outside of their own schemes. It must have been torture. Thanksgiving rolled around, sneaking up like it always does. But this year my phone stayed silent. No group text from Mom. No snarky RSVP this time from Laura. No half-hearted invite from Dad, tacked on like an afterthought. First time in my life I wasn't invited. I didn't ask. Didn't send a "what's the plan" text to play along. Instead, the day before Thanksgiving, I saw it unfold online. Laura went all out. A table for 10, tiny gourds as name holders, napkins shaped like leaves. Her caption, "Thankful for the true ones." Every seat was taken. Every plate had a name, not mine, not Emma's, not Noah's. It was intentional, not a slip-up, not a misunderstanding. They chose, no Michael, no reminder of what had changed, just their polished version of family. The one that didn't question them, the one that didn't make them face their guilt. I didn't tell Emma or Noah. We had our own dinner, not turkey. They picked spaghetti and pancakes, so we went with it. We ate on the floor, watched classic films, and laughed until I forgot what day it was. A few days later, I ran into Sarah at the supermarket lot, same uneasy smile. "They didn't invite you," she said, already knowing. "Nope," I said. "First time," she nodded. "Laura told Grandma it was just easier this way, less conflict." Less conflict, that's how they framed cutting me and my kids out entirely. Like we were static, they could tune out. Like their issue wasn't what they'd done, but how uneasy it made them to confront it. Christmas came, and I didn't check my phone. The only glimpse I got was from a neighbor who follows Laura online. She posted a family photo by the hearth. Matching sweaters, 5 stockings, cocoa mugs. I zoomed in. The stockings had names, none for Emma, none for Noah, none for me. Not even a spare hung as a gesture. The message was unmistakable. They weren't just leaving me out. They were erasing us. It stung at first, I won't lie, but it didn't linger. It turned into something sharper, colder. Not resentment, just detachment. A kind of inner quiet I didn't know I could feel. By January, I stopped looking for their names in my alerts. I took Emma and Noah to Portland for New Year's. Just us. We wandered the waterfront in the drizzle, rode a carousel, bought tacky trinkets, and stayed in a hotel with a hot tub that made them giggle. It wasn't conventional. It wasn't micromanaged. It was ours. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel excluded. I felt untethered. Funny thing, that year was my best financially. I signed 4 new clients, wrapped up a brutal project from the prior year, and had more cash in my accounts than ever. I could have paid for Laura's whole backyard 3 times over. Could have funded their trip again with first-class upgrades. Could have written a check to prove a point. Instead, I got a smart thermostat for my house and started planning a summer trek with my kids. No group chat, no sign-offs needed. They stopped inviting me because I stopped playing their game. I stopped making it easy to take from me while ignoring me. Once the money dried up, once I made it clear nothing else came with it. No silence, no forgiveness, no pleasantries. They didn't know how to handle me. So they cut me out to shield their ease. I stayed out to guard my peace. 2 months later, in February, an envelope arrived. Plain, no sender's address. Just my name in Mom's uneven handwriting, like she hesitated to mail it. I stared at it in the kitchen. Could have thrown it out, but I opened it. Inside, a brief letter and a check. The letter was 2 paragraphs. The first talked about mending what's broken. The second said the check was for your portion of the Italy trip since you didn't go. It was for $3,800. I laughed out loud. Not at the amount, but at their belief that this was about money. Like they could refund my missed trip and erase the way they'd cut me and my kids out of their world. I didn't cash it. I pinned it to the fridge with a magnet and left it there. 3 days later, Matt texted, "We need to talk." I ignored it. Then Laura, "Grandma's in the hospital. She asked for you." That made me stop. I called the hospital, verified it. Minor heart scare, not life-threatening, but she'd asked for me twice. So I drove up. She smiled when I walked in like no time had passed, like we hadn't skipped 2 holidays and countless family events. We talked for an hour, books, the seasons, small stuff. Then she said, "Don't let them close the book on you." I didn't know how to respond. On the drive home, I stopped at a cafe, sat in my car with a latte, thinking about that check. That night, Laura called again. I answered. She dove right in, said they wanted to start over. Said it was time for a real conversation. Not quite an apology, but she mentioned the kids asking why they hadn't seen Emma or Noah lately. Said maybe we should all gather soon. Then the kicker, she said Mom and Dad were thinking of selling the house. The money, she said, might go into a family fund for shared needs. And they hoped I'd pitch in too for something forward-looking. I didn't reply, I hung up. The next day, I mailed the check back. No note, just the check. That was the end. No shouting, no confrontation, just quiet. Since then, nothing. No texts, no calls, no staged family breakfasts. They finally got that I was done with their script. No more leverage, no more safety net. The group chat went dead. Birthdays went unnoticed. I heard through Sarah they sold the house and bought a smaller place outside town. No one asked me to visit. I don't think they hate me. I think I unsettled them because I wasn't vengeful. I wasn't loud. I didn't try to win. I just walked away, and I never looked back. So, what are your thoughts on this story? Do you agree with what happened, or do you see it differently? Let us know your opinion in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any of our upcoming stories. See you in the next one.